Welcome everyone to the inaugural episode of the Nephos Group podcast. We're really excited to have you here. And today you have the pleasure of myself and my wonderful colleague, Adam. Say hi, Adam.
Hi, everyone.
Good to have you with us, Adam. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Good. I don't think you mean that, but it's okay.
I agree. This is fine. It's only our 1700th take of the day. It's fine.
So the first episode of our newly created podcast, and it'd be good today to talk briefly about what we're going to talk about, some of the bits and pieces that we're going to be covering, and give the listeners a flavour of what we're going to do. So I think we're going to focus mainly around the business growth. Obviously, we're going to throw a bit of crypto in there because,
of course,
I don't think I live a minute of my day without mentioning the C word. And yeah, talking all things kind of growth, finance, and trying to make things accessible for people. So I guess firstly, let's introduce who we are.
Exactly. How did we get to where we are today?
Yeah. So I guess I should go first.
Yes, of course, as always.
So I'm Joe. I'm the founder and CEO of Nephos Group, founded around 10 years ago. And our focus has always been digital accounting, digital solutions for our clients, and really trying to help them grow their businesses. About 18 months ago, we ventured deeply into the world of crypto. And I would say we haven't looked back since. So yeah, super excited to be here recording the podcast and talking to you guys. Adam,
I think it's safe to say we've looked back and forward a number of times with the crypto. It's been one of those journeys. I guess for me, how I got where I got here, so similar to you, Joe, except I kind of spent a few years rebelling in other firms, kind of the whole why the hell do we do things this way? And actually, before I joined you, that was my job, actually, to try and challenge people and to change how they look at the face of the accounting profession, because it is changing. And, despite the buzzwords out there at the moment, it is changing. And how we deliver services to our clients and what clients actually need has only been accelerated by the pandemic. So yeah, that's kind of, the MO. That's what we want to do here at Nephos Group. And yeah, excited to get started.
I guess that's a good point to start there in terms of, servicing clients and the differences, I guess, that you've seen in different firms, and now how we're trying to do that at Nephos.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I always think I come back to this. One of the very first, as I was an accountant, it was a very traditional firm. We basically did the year-end accounts. There was never really ever any bookkeeping, and I remember, first few weeks in the job, I got speaking to a family member, and they run their own business, and one of the big things that always sticks with me, they go, my problem with accountants is, it's all well and good giving me this, this data, but it's usually 6 to 7 months after the year end. And by then it just has no value to me. And that's kind of has always stuck with me, that little excerpt, as it were, from that person. And kind of throughout time as training, you kind of really laser focused on that. But once you get out of that, you do start to question, like, what are we doing here? Cool, it's great. We're doing a set of accounts and charging, astronomical figures. But what are we actually giving to the client other than something they have to do? How do we change that relationship? And I guess where you came from, really, that's been your mission from the start, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, and that, good point to talk on as well. My background being industry, working within a business, naturally you are more focused, or you are focused on the business because that's your job. You're focused on delivering for the owners, for the directors, for the shareholders, whatever it might be. So yeah, I think you do have a slightly different outlook. Now, I can't comment on what it would be like to go through practice and qualify that way because I didn't do it.
You'd hate it.
But so for me, it is easy for me to say, look, industry was great because of this, this, and this. But, that's another reason why, we brought you on board. It's all very well having this industry experience and this client-centric approach and all that sort of stuff. But actually, you also need some practice experience as well, and you also need to run like a practice because ultimately we are a practice. So I think it's important to have both.
But I think 100%, and the reason it's important, like we always joke about this, our are we doing management accounts that, a financial accountant and that buzzword of advisory out there, or are we doing management accounts, the proper management accounts where we go into the detail behind the P&L and we give client insight into actually, analysis of time if they do timesheets and time tracking? That's proper management accounts.
I read an article the other day. I think I sent it to you. I think it was an AAT article around management accounting, and they called it strategic management accounting. And I kind of thought that's a really good way to put it in a sense of, management accounts, management information can be a P&L and balance sheet printed off and given to someone, right? That ultimately, that is information for management, yeah? So it kind of does what it says on the tin. But strategic management accounting or strategic management information, I thought was a really good way to describe what I talk about in terms of management information, because the word strategic is there for a reason. It's to help drive the growth, strategic direction, all that sort of stuff. And I thought that was, you probably haven't read it like most things I send you. But
no, I've tried to ignore it. I was probably on a stag do at that point and ignored it.
Indeed. But yeah, I thought that was a really good way to kind of to summarize it. I guess, one of the key things for our business is we've focused on, or we've delved a lot into the crypto space.
Have we?
As an outsider looking in to an extent initially, obviously we brought you much more involved in that now. But when you first joined and you first started seeing, what did you think? What did you make of it?
I think it's that's a great question, and I think probably what we'll touch on in later episodes to come for that exact reason is, everyone has a story of how they nearly bought crypto when it was 0.1 of a penny and could have sold and been millionaires and retired by now. But I was always aware of crypto, not really into it per se. And like you say, you join up initially. I just joined from the Nephos side, but very quickly you start to understand that actually, you challenge your beliefs like we've done on mine, and we have really good conversations around it. Like at the end of the day, we are doing accounting and bookkeeping and tax for crypto assets, but we do that every day with all the assets we use. So when you strip back, the kind of terms around crypto, you start to actually begin to understand it. The problem is a lot of people hear the word cryptocurrency or blockchain, and immediately they shut themselves off to any open discussion about it, when really it's not far from what we do on a daily basis.
I mean, we don't want to simplify it too much because...
Well, yeah, of course.
It's our USP, but yeah, no, I totally agree. It is a lot, but I think there's I think there's an element of this though as well. You're right; it is about simplifying it, and actually, when you simplify it, it isn't as complicated as it may seem, as people make it out, etc. But I think the reason for that, fundamental reason for that, is we've got skills within the business that are so knowledgeable about crypto and very deep in the crypto ecosystem that we're able to understand it because we understand it. If that makes sense.
100%, and I think, and that's where it goes back to one of those things. I talk to some of my friends who are really intelligent people and have really specific jobs, and you talk to them about tax or tax rates, something that I consider very basic. However, go and put me in a math class and get me to teach Pythagoras theorem. That's not simple to me. Whereas to my friend who's a math teacher, he can do that no problem. And you still need those people, and you need people like Mina to be able to understand the tax accounting and explain it to the people doing this stuff. Because as we've found, traditionally people who come to accountants are business owners or business-minded people. What has kind of happened with crypto is that everyone who's just interested in crypto has really taken off, and now they have this tax that they have to deal with. And they're not used to it. They really aren't used to having to deal with the tax man.
I find people are scared about the unknown.
Yeah.
They don't know what there's going to happen when they talk to an accountant. They kind of feel like that if they talk to the moment they talk to an accountant, there's an automatic feed straight into HMRC that and it's not like that. Obviously we report it to HMRC and all the relevant things that we need to do, but it's there's a conversation between us and the client. We get the numbers right, and then the client signs it and we submit it. It's not a case of as soon as they talk to us as a direct feed. We can have, those conversations on, making sure we get it right first. And I think it's nice for people to understand that as well, that we're there to support them and help really.
Yeah. And it's the unfortunate thing with cryptocurrency is a bit like cryptocurrency itself. A lot of stuff's being built up and going now, we've got to catch up. But as you can imagine, the accounting profession is not very adverse to change. It doesn't like change. So, in terms of the tools we're trying to use, we don't want to be manually coding up, 18,000 transactions. We've got to identify those softwares that work and work properly. And,
agreed.
And we have teething issues constantly with this area, but we're always going to be there, and we're going to try and improve that and work with these software providers so that we can educate people and accountants.
I agree. So that's probably a good point now, just to touch on some of the things we're going to talk about. So I think some episodes will be, just for myself, some episode with a guest potentially.
Oh, you've got rid of me already.
Some episodes, Adam will potentially be doing. And so what sort of things are you going to be talking about when you're on this?
Yeah. So I guess I think I will feature heavily on the crypto side, because I think, as somebody
What do you think?
Yeah, well, I think so anyway. As somebody who I think kind of can see it from I always say to Joe, explain to me like I'm 5. Let's really simplify it so I get it. Not because I'm an idiot or anything, but it's
just to clarify, it's really easy to explain things to Adam like he's 5, because that is how he acts most of the time.
Cool. Let's cut that from the podcast. But what I'm going to do really from my side is it's kind of this. So you want to start a business side. So you want to find an accountant. We might not be the right accountant for you to start, but you need an accountant. You need to have understanding of your numbers and business from the get-go. That's the most important bit. We'll hopefully bring some clients on if they're willing to come on and talk about their experience, running a business. But explain what the tax man needs from you. What are your requirements as a director? What is tax? How do I pay myself? Some people, again, seems very obvious to us, but the business and you are 2 separate legal entities. So lots of things about that. And what I would like to do is just kind of go through the business life cycle, eventually touch upon, okay, so you want to exit your business. Let's talk about that too. Where do you want to go to next? What happens when you outgrow just an accounting function and you need to hire internally?
And we've had that too,
we have
our client base, and we're happy to support people with that transition as well, aren't we?
Because we want to do the right thing for the business owners at the end of the day. Because we talk about this in terms of value. We can charge you an amount of money. Eventually, you're going to figure out that it's better for you to do it another way. So why wait for that to happen? We're just going to tell you as it is and be honest with you.
You maintain the relationship in some way. So
exactly, 100%.
And I think the other thing we'll touch on from your side maybe is software. We might get some software providers.
Yes, 100%.
Talking about the products and that they offer and why we work with them, etc. I think from my side, most things you're going to hear from me, as usual, is crypto and how we support crypto businesses. Again, we'll try and get some great crypto businesses along to talk about their journeys and where they've gone. But I think the other real key point I want to talk about is, that kind of business growth. We want to talk to entrepreneurs, founders, people that want to talk about their journey, where they've gone, what's things they've used to like software and things to support them as they grow. Also, some of those like productivity hacks. I know we all see it, but some of them are interesting. Some of them are great. That some of the tools we use on our day-to-day business life as well, and some of the many expenses Adam puts through for different software that he's trying out.
That's a lie. I don't do that. I always buy it myself first and then check if I can get it through the business.
So hopefully some really useful stuff for people to take away. We want all the episodes to have some kind of actionable takeaways as well. And I guess for the first episode, I think that's us.
Do I make the cut? Am I coming back for episode 2?
I guess we'll decide. I guess people will find out.
Well,
the only way you're going to find out is to listen to episode 2.
Oh, you're a natural at this.
Well, thanks, Adam. Good to see you. Maybe see you again.
Maybe I will.
And thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we'll see you on the next one.